My guest today is Natalie O'Rourke MBE, founder of Park Lane Stables in Teddington, a riding for the disabled centre serving over 1,000 people with disabilities and additional needs. Sunday Times Grassroots Sportswoman of the Year, and someone whose story of community, resilience and the transformative power of sport genuinely captured the hearts of a nation. Natalie, welcome.
Thank you. That was a very grand introduction. Thank you very much.
No worries. So take us back. What was it about horses that hooked you early, and when did that turn into something bigger than just a passion?
So I'm a city kid. I'm from Birmingham, so I grew up in the city, no countryside, no horses. And my dad took me to it was like a fete at a school, and there was a pony there, and I had a go on the pony, and it was just, I was transfixed and I was obsessed from that point on. I was about 6 years old. So my dad found somewhere for me to learn to ride, and I think he always hoped that I would grow out of it, but it's never happened, and it's too late now, basically.
Fair enough. And when did you kind of, what did that journey look like to kind of like being on ponies to starting in stables?
Yeah, so when you live in a city, getting access to ponies is not the easiest, but my dad managed to find somewhere for me. So I learned to ride on a road at this animal rescue centre, and then I just kept riding, kept getting more opportunities at different places. But my dad was adamant that I was not going to work with horses because he didn't consider that to be a proper job, in his opinion. And so he wasn't satisfied with that. So I actually went to Sheffield University and I did study dentistry. And then I was a dental hygienist for about 15 years, I think. And then I did horses half the week and I did teeth half the week. And then it just got to the point where I just wanted horses full time. So I told my dad and he accepted it. I'd given it a fair go. And I'd always got that to fall back on. So when I made the decision to do horses full time, I'd always got my qualification. So if it went wrong or I was injured or whatever, I could always go back to that. But touch wood, in 18 years, I haven't had to go back to teeth. So it's going okay so far.
Brilliant. And when did you start Park Lane Stables, and how did you end up in Teddington?
Yeah, so I was from Birmingham and living in Birmingham, and then I really wanted my own stable. So I was working for other people in Birmingham, working at different riding schools, trying to gain experience. But my vision really was to have my own riding stables where the horses would come first, and it would be a friendly place. But obviously there's not loads and loads of stables available. So at that time I was married, and we used to trawl the country looking at different places that were available, but we didn't get any of them. And then there was a job advertised in Horse and Hound, and it was Horse and Hound is like a newspaper for people that like horses, basically. So there was this job advertised, and it said it was for a couple to go and open a riding school in Teddington. I thought, wow, this is like made for me. I'd never been to Teddington, didn't know where Teddington was, but that was not going to stop me. And so we went for the interview and got the job. And then we had to give our notice at work, because at that time I was working at some dental practices and some riding schools. And so we gave our notice at work, which was a 6 weeks notice. So there was quite a period between the interview and then moving from Birmingham to Teddington. And this was in 2008. So we arrived in Teddington, and basically my then husband said, I'm not getting out of the car. And I was like, oh, I thought like he'd hurt his back or something. And he basically said, I've been having an affair with your friend, and I'm not coming with you. So he basically drove me to Teddington and left me there. So I didn't know a single person. I knew no one. and
Wow.
it was literally sink or swim. And the guy that the job, it was supposed to be a job, I had to tell him, so I had to say, he's gone, it's me on my own. And I said, I'll do the work of 2 people. And he was like, wow, okay. And basically he had a big farm. So he said, okay, let's not open the riding school. You can run the farm. So I was running this 140-acre farm. And I didn't really want to do that because that's not really my thing. And I was caring for the horses, and he was buying and selling a few horses. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to open the riding school. So I said, look, I came from Birmingham because I wanted to open this riding school. And he said, well, if you want to open the riding school, you're going to have to do it on your own. And you're going to have to lease it from me. And it's going to be all yours. And I really don't want anything to do with it. So at this point, I'd really got nothing to lose. So I went for it. And it started off with I had like 2 ponies, myself. And I made, I'm still not very good at technology, but I have got better. But I made a leaflet with like crayon myself, and went to playgrounds and schools that were, when it was school kick out time, and took the pony and took my little leaflet and told people that the riding school was open. And people started to come, like a few people. I mean, it wasn't a surge, I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
But really, I was like living the dream because I was doing what I wanted to do. I was eating beans and, but I was happy. And that was in the summer. And then in the December of that year, 2008, we had a fire. So I was writing Christmas cards, and all the lights went off. And my friend was there from Birmingham, and she said, oh, because it was a really old building, so we used to push the trip up all the time, and then the trip wouldn't go up. And I said, the trip won't go up. And she said, that means something's really wrong. And then someone was banging on the front door, and I went to open the front door, and it was like a little gold brass like thing that you pulled, and I couldn't touch it. It was really hot. So this person was shouting from outside that the stables is on fire. And they actually kicked the door in so that we could get out. And I went outside, and the whole roof was on fire, and we were inside, but so were the horses. So we managed to get all the horses out, and everyone was safe. I mean, we were obviously in shock, but we were safe. But what happened was that really negative thing that happened turned into a positive thing, because all of a sudden the community were like, the stables is there. They realized that I was there, and they wanted to help me. So someone gave me somewhere to live. They were bringing things for the horses. They were bringing like blankets and carrots. People really wanted to be involved. So I managed to get the roof put back on and reopen. And from that point, it was like people knew we were there and they wanted to come. And that's when it snowballed, and that's when it became busy. And and then it was a little riding school, a friendly riding school, where the horses came first, and we had lots and lots of people coming through. But what I realized in 2014 was that I wanted people to come that would really benefit from the ponies and the horses and really get value from them. So in 2014, I basically changed it into a charity and just said the people that can come is anybody with a need. So that could be a social need, or they might have a disability, or they might have been bereaved, or we get people who've lost their job. They've been made redundant, and that's really shocking for them, and they're having a really hard time in their life, and they just come and spend time with the horses, and it really helps to lift them. So now we just take it, it's not defined by disability, it's anybody that needs us, basically. That's how we do it. Last year, I know it was just over 1,000 families that had come through the stables.
So yeah, you often say that horses do the magic. Just explain a bit to listeners what that means.
Yeah, so horses are obviously they're really big animals, but they don't know that they're big. So they're actually, horses are really vulnerable actually. And they're really the horses that we're working with are obviously really gentle and patient, and they're non-judgmental of people, so they don't care what shoes people are wearing, or you know, what their background is or anything like that. They literally are seeing you for how you present to them. So people that present who are not feeling the best version of themselves, so not feeling very confident, their body language might be quite withdrawn and they won't make eye contact, those are horses' favorite people because they're not threatening to them. People that are super confident and come with like really open body language and eyes on, horses are like, oh, not sure about you. So what happens is when these people arrive, and we often see young people that come with all their hair all over their face and they're trying to make themselves as small as possible. But those people are like great for horses, and then the horses are kind of drawn to them, and then that empowers those people because they like, oh, actually these horses like me, and then they make a connection and they make a friend, and then we give them achievable tasks, so little incremental steps, so kind of like errorless learning. So we'll give them something to do that we know that they can definitely achieve with that horse, and then that in turn makes them feel confident, and we just build it up like that. But we also have people with lots of different needs, so people that are non-verbal, for example, or might have a stammer, and we've got in our team like a speech therapist, so we'll work with those people and really try and help them with their language. So it's proven that riding the horses can really help with speech. Lots and lots of studies have been done. So there's people come for lots of different reasons. There's physical goals as well. So we've got young people that don't have much head control and core control, so we might be working on that. So everybody comes for a different reason, and everybody has a different sort of set of goals and outcomes. But also there's people that we call it just be, that just want to be with the horses, and that's really beneficial too, just hanging out with them. It's really calming. So
that's fascinating stuff, the extent and the range of people that you work with. But Natalie, you must have so many stories over those years, but can you just give us a couple that really stand out, where people have experienced real change as a result of this?
Yeah, I remember a boy from years and years ago, and his dad was like from a different culture from myself. And I remember the boy was non-verbal and he was autistic, and he was tricky. And I remember they would come, and the dad would say, this is a waste of time, and like quite angry, like aggressive. This is a waste of time. You're wasting my time. I've brought him here, and I'd say, please just stick with me. Like, you know, it's not going to happen right this minute. You've got to keep coming, and it's going to be incremental. I just remember the dad was so disbelieving of us, really, but he kept coming every week. And I remember after like several weeks, and the dad was still like, he's never going to get on the horse. And I said, he will, I promise you he will, but I don't know when. Anyway, one day he just went up steps, got on the horse, and I was like to everyone, don't overreact, he's got on the horse, that's cool, let's just go ride. So he was riding then, and he was coming every week. But what the biggest thing I remember is that his mum said to me, you know, he'll hold my hand now. He holds my hand and he looks at me, and we can go to the supermarket and we can go on the bus because he's calm and he's got that connection back with his family. So that child always really stands out in my mind, because it was quite a journey, and I had to win Dad over to get him to believe in us. But more recently, sadly, we had a young person referred to us because he had an e-scooter and he had charged it in his home, and the home had caught fire because of them charging the scooter, and the family had lost everything.
Yeah.
So the kid was actually carrying the burden of this, and he was like, his mental health was just, you know, on the floor because he thought he'd ruined his whole family's life and it was his fault. So he was referred to us for like counselling and therapy, equine therapy. And he used to come, he wouldn't look at anyone, he wouldn't talk to anyone, but he really liked this horse called Spotty. And one day the boy arrived and Spotty like called out to him, like neighed at him, really, really neighed. And the boy was like, ah, like Spotty saw me. And I said, yeah, he did. And he was like, he likes me. And I said, yeah, he does. And it was like this massive turning point that the boy was like, actually, I'm all right as a person and I do matter and I do have value. And from that point, then he started to like reconnect with his family and he made some friends and he went back to school. You know, so it was just a massive turning point. But like I say, the horse did it, not us. We're just there as part of the furniture. It's the horses that do it all.
That's magic stuff. And I mean, I got to know about Park Lane Stables. I'm fairly local to you when you had that real adversity. Talk us through the New Year's Eve announcement and potentially losing the stables and how it all turned around, because that's quite a story.
Yeah, so I leased the stables from the guy from 2008 to 2020. So I paid my rent all the way through, even through the lockdown. And then in November 2020, he said that he needed to sell the stables for his own reasons, which is absolutely fair enough. But he said, I need £1 million, basically. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't have £1 million. What am I going to do? So I tried to borrow it from the bank and they just laughed me out of town. You know, that was not going to happen. So I just thought, I can't let the stables fail, because all these people that come to the stables, a lot of them are socially isolated. We're the only thing they've got. Like, if this goes, what are they going to do? That was all I could, that was my only thought. And then I just had this mad idea that I would raise the money. So I just thought, I'm going to raise the money, that's it. And basically I thought, if I launch a crowdfunder on New Year's Eve, in London, you weren't allowed to go out. So I thought people will give me the money that they might have spent in the pub. So that was my thought process. And it did work to a certain level. I got a few quid, but obviously then it was New Year and people are going back sort of to their routine. We were still in a bit of lockdown, I think. So what I did was, I couldn't have any face-to-face meetings. I couldn't have public meetings. All I could do was use social media to help me. And I made posters, like old-fashioned posters, and just stuck them everywhere and anywhere. And I just was relentless, to be honest. I just had this thing in my head, like, I can't fail. I have to do this for these people. And I would stay up like all night targeting countries that were awake. So while people in our country were sleeping, I would target like Australia and try and find anyone with a loose connection to a horse or disability and try and connect with them and try and get them to share the story if they couldn't give money. And it was working, to be honest. I got quite a lot of money. I got to about 500,000, I think. And then somebody from the racing world got a hold of the story and started to help me. So I got some money from racing, because obviously racehorse owners can be quite well heeled. So that helped. But I was still stuck at about, I think I was stuck on about 780,000 or something. So I was going to go and borrow the money from a bank to put into the crowdfunder, so that it would hit the million. And that was what I was seriously considering doing, which sounds like absolute madness now. And then the BBC said they would come and put us on BBC Breakfast. So I they came the day before and they did some filming, and then they said, we're going to put you on at about 6:30 in the morning. And they put us on at about 6:30, and we got I don't know, let's say like 20,000 or something. And then they said, oh, we're going to put you back on at 8 a.m. and that's the golden spot apparently. So we were like, oh, okay, great. Like, and I was thinking maybe we'll get 50k and then I'll have to borrow less from the bank. So they put us on at 8 a.m. and then it turned into like this whirlwind because it just went crazy. The crowdfunder was going ding ding ding, like it was just going up and up and up. And then crowdfunder phoned me and they said, you're gonna hit the million and you need to stretch the target, because if you don't stretch the target, everything after £1 million will cut off. So they said you have to tell us what you want to do with it. So I just said, I want a field, I want a lorry, and just came out with these things in a panic. And then they said, okay, we're going to stretch the target. And then I think it was about 11 a.m. that we did it, and we finished on 1.4 million. Yeah, incredible. But the really powerful, the most powerful thing about it, I think, is that it was lots of smaller increments of money. So it wasn't like somebody came along and was like, we had one big funder that he gave £75,000. He was our one person that was like our hero. But other than him, it was small increments of money, and it just shows that the power of people pulling together what can be achieved. And that's what astounded me. And people still write to me now, handwritten letters from people that seem to connect with me for whatever reason, and I handwrite back to them, and you know, they tell me about their life and things they've gone through. I mean, we received like thousands of letters, and we've kept every single one of them. But it was just, it was just amazing, really incredible. Sometimes I still can't believe that happened. To be honest.
Do you remember that exact moment though? I know they called you, but do you remember exactly how you felt when you hit that million?
I phoned my dad. Yeah, I remember I phoned my dad and I was crying, and I just said, we've done it, Dad, we've done it. That's it. We've done it. We've saved the stables. And it was just complete like relief. It was just like this biggest sense of relief, like this weight somebody had just lifted these boulders off my shoulders, you know. I never sort of, when I was raising the money, I never saw past that point. I couldn't see anything other than raising the money and buying the stables. Like, I didn't look into the future and see what that might look like. So then it was all a bit of I felt like Susan Boyle when she won the X Factor, and I was just like in complete panic then, shut myself in the cottage because I lived at the stables at the time. Shut myself in the cottage and was like, I can't deal with this. There was like TV crews everywhere, like everybody wanted to talk to me, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So somebody came to help me, and he was meant to help me for 2 weeks, and he's still here like 5 years later, and he's amazing and still helping me now.
It's just amazing stuff about like really the community pulling together. But part of me sitting here thinking, you've had to deal with the fire. You had the initial shock of the divorce, and then the money and the person. So you worked so incredibly hard, but to create such impact. And do you like almost feels really unfair that you've got that you've had to battle like this? But
I don't know if that's what's made me tough, because people sometimes say to me, oh, how are you so tough? And I'm like, I don't know. But my mum died when I was young, and at that time there wasn't like therapy and counselling. It was like, oh, get on with it then, go to school, never mind. So I don't know if that's what's made me more resilient. And when I'm faced with a challenge, I'll find a solution. Rather than be like, right, this is going to stop me and it blocks me, I'm like, no, I've got to find a way around this wall or over it or under it or whatever it is, because that's not going to stop me. But I honestly don't know where that's come from. Probably just from, I guess, losing my mum and having to just carry on and be resilient. I think that's probably it.
So I spoke to a 6'8" boxer in episode 3, Joe Lockley, and he started mentoring young people. He was a boxing coach, and then he realised that the discipline that was being given was really having an impact. And social workers got in touch with him, and the police, and it was anyway. Now they mentor 600 young people a week.
Wow.
But he's kind of taken the view that, yes, he can do what he can in his local area, but now he wants to kind of supercharge other organisations and entities to use his kind of what he's learned, but his resilience and everything to get others doing. Do you see that you've got a role beyond Teddington?
Yeah.
Because that really resonates. You're talking about setting up in the middle of the night, targeting Australia, and just doing everything you knew you were going to. Well, you just worked so hard to do this. Have you got a wider purpose?
Yeah, and when they gave me the MBE, I felt like it's my duty now to do more. You've given me this thing, I feel like, wow, now I've got to really step up and try even harder. Sorry, the dog's crying.
That's all.
So I try really hard to be a voice for horses, because horse welfare is not always a priority. And the really magical thing is people listen to me now, where before they were like, oh, shut up, Natalie, with all your fluffy Monty Roberts nonsense. But now, because I've got an MBE and I've achieved things, people are like, oh, there might be something here in what she's saying. So it's really fantastic that the tide is turning regarding horse welfare. And also the other thing that I try really hard to get involved in is the fact that disabled children become disabled adults. And people quite merrily forget that. And most services cut off at 18, and if not 18, 25. And then there's this like void. There's nothing for them to do. There's no activities. There's no support. So I work really hard at that as well. And I'm on like several national committees trying to create change nationally. And what I'm really proud of, and I notice, is that people are doing what I'm doing in other bits of the country, and they're sort of following our model, and I love that. I'm like, let's get horses accessible to people so that they're getting the benefits. That's what I really want to happen. So I just keep pushing forward, really, like the boxer, and try and get people to listen and to copy and do something similar or set up their own thing.
I was going to ask that. Do people kind of come to you and say, look, I've seen what you're doing, Natalie, I'd love to try this in our part of the country or the world?
And I love helping people. So I have lots of Zoom meetings with people and share information and give, like, also people ask me about fundraising, and I'm really happy to help anyone, and I'll give them a toolkit, but I can't do it for them because I'm not massively passionate about whatever it is that they're passionate about. So I'll have meetings with them and try and really rev them up and, give them the best advice that I can. And I've had lots of people that I've helped who have been successful as well. I'm willing.
Sorry, Natalie. Sorry to cut across. Lots of people will be listening to this who will have big fundraising needs. Just talk to us about these 2 or 3 guiding principles on that now project.
Yeah, so like a colleague of mine, she's going through a tough time at the moment, so I've been advising her, and the first thing I said to her was, think really hard. Have you got someone in your network who has been generous to you in the past, who is maybe like a key donor? Go to them first before you go public, because they will really value the fact that you've confided in them and you've asked for their support. What you don't want is for you to launch a public campaign and then they see it and think, well, why didn't they come to me first? So that's what I would say. If you've got someone in your orbit who might help you, go to them first. Then if you're going to launch a campaign, make sure you use crowdfunder. Definitely don't use any other platforms. Use crowdfunder, because you'll get all the support that you need, and they're just fantastic. And then be brave.
Yeah, I've used it myself, Natalie. I've used crowdfunder myself for a walk that I did. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and it works. And just be brave, be bold. Don't be shy. This is, if you need money and you're in a situation, this is not a time to be shy about it. Be really brave, because you don't know what people's personal circumstances are. You don't know how much they'd be willing to support you. And just go down every avenue, because for every one yes that I got, I probably got 250 no's. But you've got to keep going, and you've got to believe in yourself that you can do it, for others to come along with you. Because lots of people said to me, oh, you're a time waster, you'll never do this. And that just revved me up, you know. And now when I walk past those people in the street, now I'm like, oh, good morning. You know, remember when you called me a time waster?
Wow.
So yeah, you've got to believe in yourself and be really passionate, so that other people get on board with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to do it for you. You've got to go out and get it. And the money is out there. Money is there, but no one's just going to arrive with a big fat check. You've got to go and get it, and make those people with that money want to invest in you and your charity or your project, whatever it is that you're doing. You got to find a way to connect.
How did you know that the Sunday Times Grassroots Sportswoman of the Year thing was happening a while in advance, or did it all come as a massive surprise?
No, I thought it was a joke at first, because I got the email and I thought, is this one of my friends, being a bit silly? And it said, you've been shortlisted for Sunday Times Grassroots Sportswoman of the Year. And I was like, what? So I called them. I think there was a number on the bottom of the email, and I called them and I was like, is this real? And it was a very short time frame. I think it was like December we got told. And they were like, no, it's definitely real. And then it went to public vote. So they came and made a little film at the stables, and then it went out to public vote. So of course we told as many people as we could. But because there was a footballer in there, I thought, football's going to win. Everyone loves football. She's going to win. That's all right. You know, I'm shortlisted. Enjoy the ride. So on the evening, my dad was well enough to come with me, and I was really so chuffed. And, we were having a lovely time. And then they showed all the VT. And my dad was holding my hand, and he said, oh, it's very strong, Kat. It's very, you've done well to be shortlisted. I said, oh, I know, Dad. I know. Yeah. And then when they said my name, like, I looked at my dad, and we were both in complete disbelief. Like, honestly, there must have been a major pause between them saying my name and me standing up, because I was so genuinely shocked. But I was so delighted, because like, a lot of people don't view what we're doing as sport. So the fact that we'd been recognised properly as sports people, and also just that people were recognising the value of horses, I was so pleased. And anybody that works with horses will tell you it is really hard work. I mean, it's relentless. It's all weather. You know, it's long days and up to your knees in mud and shoveling muck. And so I felt like it was for everybody. It was for everybody in the horse world. I felt like it was for all of us. And it was unbelievable, honestly. And then afterwards, because at the bit before, like, my dad and I were just kind of hanging out and like people watching. And then afterwards, when I'd won, everybody wanted to come and talk to me and my dad. And it was really nice for my dad as well, because everyone was asking him questions, and it was really special. And like Baroness Brady was there, and she was really, really nice to us. And it was just such a special evening. And really proud.
And so give us just pause for a moment and just think about this. But can you describe the power of sport in 30 seconds?
No. Well, sport binds people together, doesn't it? So, you know, for us, we're all bound together by the horse. So it doesn't matter if you are visually impaired, hearing impaired, you're a wheelchair user, or you're ambulant. We're all just there for the love of the horses, and we're bound by that. And I think all sport is so powerful, isn't it? I mean, look at football stadiums. You've got 18,000 people all passionate about the same thing from all different walks of life being brought together. So yeah, it's unbelievably powerful, and I'm just really, really privileged to be involved in it every day. Yeah, I feel really lucky. And also just that grassroots sport is recognised, because people often think sport, they think Formula One, they think Premier League, you know, they think Olympics, but grassroots sport is like, if nobody's doing the grassroots, we're not going to have any Olympians, because somebody's got to open the door for them at that lower level, haven't they? So I'm really, really proud to be part of that chain that's passing people up to the next level.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, a couple more questions. So you've had a lot of highlights, been an incredible journey, but give us that one highlight over the whole time at Park Lane Stables.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Probably when I got the keys from you know, the solicitor, and it was like, there's the keys, there's the deeds, that's it, it's yours. Because now I feel like it's there forever, and it's, no one's going to take it away from us. We're not under threat anymore, and the horses will remain there forever, and we're a community asset forevermore. So I think that moment when it was literally like, here it is, you're safe. Yeah. I think that has to be the biggest moment. It's such a,
must have been powerful.
Yeah.
And your low point, Natalie?
Well, oh God, I mean, I probably when my husband left and I didn't know a soul. I lived in the cottage at the stables. It was freezing cold. There was no heat, and you know, that was hard. It was lonely. I'd say that was rock bottom, absolutely rock bottom. Was not looking after myself properly, just functioning, to be honest. That was the lowest point. And when I look back on that now, I think, wow, Nat, you did well to get out of that. And I would say to anyone listening, you know, however low it gets, I mean, I was essentially, my husband had left me, then my home burned down. I had nowhere to live. I had nothing, actually, absolutely nothing. And you can rise from it. You just have to give yourself a bit of time and be kind to yourself, and you'll get there. Whatever the lowest point is, you can turn it around. And you know, I'm running the London Marathon in 5 weeks' time, and I used to be a 40-a-day smoker. You know, I mean, at that point, I was like so stressed. I was surviving on cigarettes and Diet Coke, and you know, really, really unhealthy. And so you can, whatever state you're in right now, whoever's listening, you can turn it around, I promise, because I'm just a living example of that. Yeah. So yeah, that would be the lowest point.
And no, that makes sense. And how much is proving people wrong part of the success of Park Lane Stables? How much are you like that? Hello, dog.
I'm not. No, I don't think that motivates me. I mean, for years and years, I'm always an advocate for the horse. So for years and years, I've been like, we don't need to whip horses. We don't need to hit horses. to get them to be willing partners in what we're doing. And for years and years, people are like, oh, shut up, Natalie, shut up, Natalie, shut up, Natalie. But you just have to keep believing in what you believe in. And eventually, if you're right and you know in your soul that you're right, people will listen, and the tide will turn. So no, I don't think that motivates me, proving people wrong. More sort of showing them the right way, actually.
Yeah.
Or like the people that called me a time waster, just showing them that it is possible. Anything is possible. You know, I didn't do very well at school or anything like that, but you can teach yourself things along the way. And if you're passionate about something and you believe, you can literally achieve anything. And I'm an example of that. I mean, I would skip PE lessons at school. I was the kid that wouldn't go to the PE lesson, and I've won the grassroots sportswoman of the year. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, you know, so if I could go back and tell my younger self, I'd say to my 14-year-old self, you know what, Nat, it'll all be all right. Just keep going. You'll be okay in the end.
How many people work with you now?
Oh, a lot. So paid employees, we have about 15, but we're really proud that we employ people with additional needs. So our workforce is mainly made up of people with disabilities or additional needs that might struggle to get employment elsewhere. So we're really, really proud of that. And then we have like an army of volunteers, about over 100 volunteers that make it all happen. Because there's so many moving parts with it. We need lots of people to make it work and keep it safe. And
Teddington's quite an affluent area, and it's
it is,
you know, lots of green spaces and things. Do you get lots of people coming from inner London? And
we get.
How far do people come?
People come from miles and miles because we've got a reputation for saying yes. So, for example, we have a young man who's a wheelchair user that comes every week for a whole day, and he comes all the way from Hemel Hempstead because there isn't anywhere else for him to participate. But what I would say is people think that Richmond is an affluent borough, but there are areas of real social deprivation in Richmond Borough. There's also a lot of homeless people in Richmond Borough. But what people see is they see the big houses and the beautiful royal parks. But there are people in our borough that are really, really struggling for many different reasons. But yeah, we're not governed by geography. Anybody's welcome. And that was one of the passionate reasons for saving the stables, is because we're accessible, because we're half an hour from Waterloo, so on a direct train. So we're really easy for people to get to, because if someone's got epilepsy, for example, they're never going to be able to drive to us. So it's really important that we've got that public transport links. So yeah, we don't. So, I was just going to say we try to say yes to everybody, so we wouldn't turn anyone away for where they live.
Cool. And so probably my last question, 5 years time, what does Park Lane Stables look like?
Oh, well, I'd really like to have an arena. So at the moment, the stables is a very urban setting, and then we ride in beautiful Bushy Park. But my dream is to have an arena, and I will make it happen. So I've got my eye on a few places in the local area. So watch this space. But that's what I would love in 5 years' time, that we've got an arena, because then we can deliver more, basically, for people that are really in need, where the park is not quite the right setting for them. We'd have a nice private space. So yeah, that's the blue sky thinking. Love that.
Natalie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
The power of sport, right there, helping 1,000 people going through massive adversity. And yeah, I'm really proud that I can call you local, and what you're doing local as well. Yeah. It's brilliant. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.